What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. I am going to kill two birds with one stone today and talk about two hilts that just happen to be going to the same customer. This is two custom mining colony builds that I have set up with two removable unthreadable chassis. Now, what does an unthreadable chassis look like, Tim? Well, I'm going to show you. So the really interesting thing about mining colony hilts is that typically this midsection has an outer thread wall and an inner thread wall. I think initially when mining colony hilts were released, they also came with a threadable chassis, right? So I did one of these a long time ago, and I designed a chassis with threads. No, it's not necessary to have a removable chassis here, because you could do a static chassis and just remove the grip to get your battery and your board. But I mean, why not? Why not give it a try? So that's initially when I did that first mining colony install, like a couple of years ago. I just wanted to try my hand at doing threads, and I did threads on, and I printed the chassis in resin. And that worked just fine. The thing with resin is it can have a tendency to be brittle, especially when you have thin walls, right, on your model. And threads at the tip of a thread can have thin walls. So I didn't have any reports of this happening, but my concern was always, if I have a threaded chassis that's in resin, if you overcrank that chassis, you have the possibility of breaking those threads, right? So I was excited to revisit this particular chassis design on my new Carbon X1. I wanted to print a chassis in FDM with threads just to see if I could not only get that granular detail, like if threads would be threadable through FDM printing, but I also knew that it would be way stronger through FDM, right? Threads would be way stronger and way more reliable. So I'm really happy with how both of these chassis came out. They're both the same chassis. They're for the same hilt. But I'm really happy with, not only the level of detail, but being able to like make threadable parts right through FDM. I think that's really cool, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's come into Fusion. These are two of the same hilt. Well, not the same hilt, but they're both mining colony hilts. So they're the same chassis that is in both hilts, but I do want to come into Fusion and talk a little bit about the install, or talk about the design, and then we'll come up top, right? So let's come into Fusion. So here it is. This is the chassis that I've designed for this mining colony build, right? So right off the bat, you do see a threaded top. Technically this is a removable chassis setup. You can unthread the chassis and thread it back in place when you want to use it. Completely unnecessary. I know what some people are going to say, like, why, like, that's just completely unnecessary. It's so extra, but whatever. I mean, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. I'm going to be completely honest. So around one side, this side of Greeblies was printed in FDM, PETG Carbon Fiber. I'm really happy with how much detail I got out of this side on my Carbon X1. Around this side is a Greebly panel that I just design my chassis the way I usually do, and then I export all of my Greeblies. I got to make sure that they're sitting on some sort of panel so they can mount to something. And then this was printed in resin, right? And I just kind of slapped it on the side of the chassis. Down here is a 9 Neopixel accent ring. This is from Shtok Custom Works. At the bottom, we have a 28mm speaker from Smugglers Outpost. Proffie board does fit underneath this lip, and it does press fit down into this tray. Kill switch is up here, of course, and that's it. Up top, I've got a 6-rail PCB. This is what we make a connection to the upper part of the hilt. And that's it, right? Super happy with how this one came out. So let's come up top. Okay, so here they are. These are two mining colony hilts. Both have been powder coated. Unfortunately, I don't know who powder coated these. They were sent to me by the customer as is, right? So two very unique mining colony builds. I am a huge fan of mining colony parts. I love they're modular, so you can get, I think they offer a bunch of different parts, right? So you can mix and match and make a hilt your own, right? So super, super unique hilts, both of them. They both have the same chassis, right? So here is one of the chassis. This is the side that was printed in FDM. I'm like really, really shocked almost at how detailed that came out. And around this side, this is that resin panel, right? Did I pass a pewter rub and buff on this one? There is that Neopixel accent ring. Proffie board is here. Here is our battery tray, right? So to use this guy, you want to take the flat part of your battery. Spring side is your negative. So flat part of your battery down towards the speaker. Hit your kill switch.
Never happy.
All right. And there's that Neopixel accent ring. And that's it, right? Try to do something a little different on each font. I've already got a battery in this one. So I try to do something a little bit different on animation-wise with each font. Proffie V3s in both of these, okay? So to use your hilts, you want to unthread your grip. So there is that inner thread right inside here. And I have made a very, very thin, shallow PCB holder that holds the male end of that 6-rail PCB, right? And that's what makes a connection to these rails on the chassis. So you want to take your chassis, thread it into the upper part of the hilt till it stops, and you're ready to go. All right, let's put the other one in. We'll do both at the same time. Okay. All right, so let's come down to the bottom. All right, so there they are. Dual mining colony hilts. Great feeling hilts. Really, really unique looking hilts.
I'm Cal Kestis.
All right. So let's put a blade in them. Okay, so each one of these is a 1-inch blade holder. This is a really, really tight blade holder. I am kind of afraid my blade's gonna get stuck in here, right? So it's super, super tight blade holder. Just kind of rest your blade on those PCB pins, right? And then there is a set screw up top. So tighten that set screw just to kind of lock it in place, even though you probably don't need it. This is a very, very tight blade holder, right? And then you're ready to go. One more. So that is the green one. Let's put a blade in the black one really, really quick, right? This is a tight blade. This is a very, very tight blade holder. Wow. I don't know if I even want to put a blade in this one. All right, so here is the black one, black and gold. Same 1-inch blade holder. Let me make sure that set screw is loose. These are really, really... My blade got stuck in the other one. I had a hard time getting it out. I was a little scared for a second. This one's a little bit better, right? So rest your blade on those PCB pins. Whoops. And then tighten that set screw and you're ready to go. See what else you put on there.
The NASA team is ready for launch.
Both boards have the same config. Both are great sounding hilts. I got a full length blade in here, so I got to be careful. All right, so that's it. That is 2 mining colony hilts that have been installed with completely unnecessary threaded removable chassis, right? So a huge fan of the Mining Colony system. Like I said, I've got one in my personal collection. I really like the uniqueness of their parts, right? So to the customer, thank you very much for trusting me with your installs. To the viewers, if anyone has any questions, please don't be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.